Okay. I hope you can hear me well, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we had finished talking about the sounds of English language, and then we also began talking about what is known as the parts of speech or constituents of sentence formation, namely adjectives, adverbs, prepositions, and articles. Right? These are the four main topics that we've discussed until now. Today, we're going to talk about another important element, and they are modal verbs, right? So this week we do modal verbs, and then as an extension, next week we also do phrasal verbs. So today we're going to be discussing a bit on modal verbs. For your course, that is English 1, we only have a limited section of modal verbs, right? Which means we're only going to discuss the core modal auxiliaries, right? Uh, which also means that there are other auxiliaries, other modal auxiliaries. We call them semi-modal verbs, right? So you don't have them for your syllabus. I think English 2 has like an extensive one whole week of lectures on modal verbs, which also includes the semi-modals. But for you, it's a limited syllabus, so we're only going to be discussing the modal verbs. I think your lecture only discusses that. It's probably just one or two lectures on them. So we're only going to look at that for this session as well. We're not going to extend it into semi-models, but I think you will understand what semi-models are, because I think one of the questions that we are going to discuss in the worksheet today, it has a reference to one of the semi-models. So do not mind that when you see it, because it just happens to be part of that exercise because I've taken it off Yule's book. But for your exams or for your classes, you don't have to be worried about semi models. It's not part of your. Okay, so just to clear it right in the beginning of the session. So if I'm saying core model auxiliaries, which means I'm going to discuss the uh, model verbs such as can, could, uh, sorry, yeah, can, could, then will, then would, shall, should, may, might, and must. Okay, so these are the nine auxiliaries. We refer to them as the core model auxiliary verbs. Okay, model verbs are also auxiliary verbs, so don't wonder why auxiliary. I know you know auxiliary verbs as forms of be, right? Is, are, was, were, am, all of those, right? Those are your auxiliary verbs, or even do, does, did, has, had, have. They're all auxiliaries. Remember, modal verbs are also auxiliary verbs. We call them auxiliary because they cannot be used on their own, right? So if I have a word like, sorry, if I have a sentence like I can sing, right? So can is your model verb here, but then I cannot use the model verb on its own. I always need a main verb along with it. So model verbs always grammatically, for it to be accurate, you always have to have a main verb along with it. Just like the case with auxiliary verbs, right? Auxiliary verbs also, they cannot most of the times be used on its own. They always need the help of a main verb to sustain, which is why the name model auxiliaries, right? But you may call them model auxiliary verbs or model verbs, uh, on an equally replaceable term. That's fine. So, because we are focusing on the model auxiliary core model verbs alone, I am going to discuss two things with you mostly. The first part is on the grammatical aspects of model verbs. Like grammatically, what should you know about model verbs? How do they behave grammatically? Second thing is also functionally, right? So remember that modal verbs, unlike any other grammatical units like your adverbs or adjectives or prepositions, they have more functional, more expressive functions to perform than grammar as such, right? What do I mean by expressive function? They express modalities. Like, for example, can is a modal verb that is usually used to express ability. Could is a modal verb that is used to express the modality of possibility. Similarly, you have other modal auxiliaries, like the ones now written here: will, would, should, shall, may, might. They all have their own designated functions, right? Designated expressions to deliver. Uh, that is not the case with other grammatical elements, right? They are more relational in nature. They either show a relation between one element to the other, like in the case of preposition, or they describe, say, another a noun or a pronoun, like say adjective. They have certain grammatical functions to perform here. But modal verbs, more than any grammatical role, or rather than something that is an element that is essential to complete a sentence, its role is more functional, it's more expressional in nature, that it needs to show all these modalities, right? So because of this nature, modal verbs are more important in spoken English, right? In conversational English they are more important. That doesn't mean they're not important in written language. Of course, written language also makes use of modal verb, but more importantly, you will see modal verbs do their roles more importantly and more um, you know uh, um, more popularly in the spoken discourse, right? In the spoken language. So they have two functions to perform mostly. One will be their primary function, and then they also will have a some of the modal verbs will also have a secondary function, right? Particularly modal verbs like say would and could, right? So would and could, they will have one primary role of expression, right? That I'll discuss when I'm going to talk about them. And it will also have one, we call it rhetoric, or we simply call it the in layman's term or in common English, you call it the politeness function, right? Or also known as the honorific function. Any of this, right? So two functions mainly. Mostly would and could does it, but even modal verbs like may, might can also sometimes take up that task, right? So when you want to make the situation or the sentence or the context more polite in nature, more honorific in nature, you instead of using the other verbs, you use would and could, right? Just to show that there is a the situation at hand is more formal, or we are expecting more politeness in the context, right? It definitely has its primary role of expression. There's one primary function that all of these verbs have to perform, but along with it, these few modal verbs are also used to show politeness or introduce formality in the context, right? Uh, so this then tells one other very important part about modal verbs, which is that one modal verb at a time can be used to express several modalities, right? So I'll give you an example of what it means. Let's take the example of can, right? If I'm going to discuss can. I'm going to write down a series of sentences, and you tell me what is the expression that can conveys in each of those sentences. Okay. So first one is I'm going to take the one that I already used. I can sing. Then second one is in the evening. Just take a look at these set of sentences in your chat box. I'll tell you when to answer. I'm just writing down those sentences, then we can. So this is the third sentence. Then the last one is this. There are more here, but I'm just for the sake of time, I'm just going to leave it with the four of you. So you have I can sing, can I go and play in the evening, I can drop you at the home on my way to the office, and then I have diagnosed him now, it can be the virus. Right? So can you try and take a look at it and tell me how the meaning or how what expression does the modal verb can hold in each of these four sentences? The last one is a negative form of can, right? Can't. So, in all the four sentences, could you try and tell me what are the expressions that can delivers? How is it in the first one? I can sing.
It's ability.
Its ability, right? So, in the first one, it shows the ability of the person to do certain things. So, I can sing. I have the ability to sing. That's the first one. How about the second one? Can I go and play in the evening? What is this one?
Permission.
Permission, right? So, permission or request. Any of this is fine. So, is this formal or less formal?
Formal.
Less formal. Less formal, right? If I want to make it formal, then I have to say, could I go and play in the evening, right? Remember,
Okay.
could is the one which takes up the uh, politeness role, the honorific role or formal role. Yes. So permission or request, but less formal, right? Then the third one, I can drop you at the home on my way to the office. What is this one?
Ability.
Is it ability? Think about it. Am I talking about my ability when I say I can drop you at the home? Is it ability like, my ability to sing and my ability to swim or dance or anything? It's an offer. Like I'm making an offer, right? This is a making an offer to someone. You're basically offering to help that person or offering to do something for the person. So this is also uh, one role or one kind of expression that can deliver, offering, making an offer, right? Then comes the last one. I have diagnosed him now. It can't be the virus. No, it's a negative form of can. Can and negative scan. Oh, sorry.
Some kind of identity.
Some kind of.
Identity.
The last one, no, not really. It can't be the virus. What is the other way of putting it? I am sure it is
Possibility.
the virus. Not possibility. It's called certainty, right?
Okay.
Certain, right? So I'm sure it's not the virus. When I say it can't be the virus, I'll read the sentence again for you. I have diagnosed him now, right? And it can be the virus. So you're basically saying that I am sure it is not the virus. I'm very sure it's not the virus, right? So certainty. So negative form of can is then able to express what you call the expression of certainty, right? So look at how it functions. The same model verb is able to provide you multiple readings based on the context in which it is used, right? However, for can, the primary reading is always whenever you see can, you need to first check for whether it is ability or not, because the primary job of the model verb can is to express ability. See the sentence, look at the context. If it is not about ability, then you can look at what the other options could be, right? In the exams, usually the hints are given along with the questions. You get the hints to work on questions there, so it's not a problem there. But understand that the primary role of can is ability, and it can have other meanings as well. That's how most of the model verbs function, right? Most of them will have more than one uh, expressions to deliver, but there would be one primary function which all of them would have. For can, it is ability. Similarly, for could, it would be what? Basic or the primary expression would be possibility, right? To indicate possibilities, could's primary function. Will, sorry, will talk about a little later. Let's talk about may. May May is actually something that indicates likelihood. Okay, now when I say likelihood, I am saying that I'm talking about chances, right? And the chances could be either higher chance or lower chance. If something has a higher chance or higher likelihood of happening, then I use may to indicate that, right? If something has got a lower, a very feeble chance, right? Then I use might. But both are used to indicate likelihood or probability. Uh, Another word for that is probability, right? Lower chance, right? Then next is, let's say we'll talk about will. Will, what does will indicate? Remember, this will is different from your future tense marker will. Okay. Future tense marker will shows you prediction, right? Either it shows you the future time reference directly, or any sentence that looks like it's making a prediction is definitely, future tense, right? Because predictions can only be delivered in the future time frame. But this will is not that will. This is the model verb will. What does model verb will do? Let me give you a few sentences. Okay, I will complete my assignment by 5 p.m. This is the first sentence. I will bring you the uh, bring you the book you asked for as I return. I will, let's say, the teacher will punish you. Teacher will punish you if you fail to submit the project on time. Okay, look at these three sentences. Can you tell me how are they different from each other? I will complete my assignment by 5 p.m. I will, it's bring. Okay, I think there's a typo. I will write the verb. I will bring you the book you asked for as I written. And then the last one is the teacher will punish you if you fail to submit the project on time. What is the first one? I will complete my assignment by 5 p.m. What does it show?
Confidence.
Confidence. Yes, you're right. You're close to it, but not exactly that. But very close to what the answer is. Answer is intent, right? It expresses the intention or intent on the part of the speaker to do something. I will complete. So this is not like, future time reference. It's not about, I'm going to do it in the future kind of a thing, right? This is more like, you are expressing your willingness or your intent to do something in the given stipulated uh, period of time. I will complete my assignment by 5 p.m. Okay, so that is intent. Then the second one is I will bring you the book you asked for as I written. What is this one? I will bring you the book you asked for as I written. This is a kind of a promise that you are making to someone, right? I will bring you the book as book you asked for as I written, right? Gives you a sense of promise that is being made. Okay. Here it is not intent. This your intent. This is not defining your intention to, get them something. This is more about you making a promise to that person. Okay, that I'll get this as I written.
Can we
And
say?
then the last one. Sorry.
Can we say
Warning.
commitment?
Commitment or yeah, promise, more like a promise, not a commitment. Yeah, commitment is a little higher in the order. That may not be exactly the work done by will, but here will is mostly used to express promise. Okay. Then the last one is what? You said something, warning, right? The teacher will punish you. So warning is again you're close to what its work is. But what is this more importantly? More like a threat. You're right. You can even say softer form of it would be also warning, right? Warning or threat. So will then as a model verb has these three functions to do, right? So to express intent, express your, you know, willingness or to make a promise. And the last one is to deliver a threat or a warning, right? So will can give you primarily these three readings as a model verb, right? As a model verb, when you use will, it can deliver these three expressions. Show intent, make promise, and deliver threats or warnings, right? So that's how it works. How about would expression of hypothetical or unreal or imaginary situations or contexts, right? That is what Buddhism is called. So if I were you, I would have um, built uh, built the roads as early as possible. If I were the prime minister, I would have done so and so, right? If I were a bird, I would have flown every day. Okay. So all of this is expression of what? Are we talking about a real situation? Are we talking about a real situation here?
No.
Okay. Has it got elements of hypothetical condition? What is hypothetical again? Can you explain? What do we mean by hypothetical? Just checking if you understand it or not. Nobody, no one knows what hypothetical means. A hypothetical scenario or a hypothetical question, hypothetical example. What does it mean? Something that is imagined or assumed, right, for the sake of discussion. It needn't be real. It may not be something that actually exists, but this is something that you cook up yourself. You bring it about yourself. You assume it. It's a proposition, right? Something like what if people could uh, okay if humans could live on Mars, how would they facilitate for water, drinking water? Right. So this is a hypothesis, not a hypothesis, a hypothetical question. Okay, you're trying to understand something. If what if? The other word for the word hypothetical is what if, right? Yeah. So this is what a hypothetical. So it comes from the word hypothesis, basically, right? So hypothesis is basically assumption. What are your assumptions to talk about something? That is what's called a hypothesis. So would is usually the word that you use to talk about hypothetical, unreal, and imaginary situation. That is what it is. Um, that is what the word has to express, right? The modality that it has to express is these three. Then what is the next one? We have shall, right? That's also a model auxiliary. Shall is usually used. Um, so we have several other model verbs which are used for obligation. Maybe I'll put all of them together. For obligation, you use which model verbs? You can use shall. You can also use uh, the word, sorry, not the word, must, right? And then what is the other thing that you use for obligation? Anything else? Shall and must are definitely used. How about should? Should also be used for obligation, right? So shall, should, and must. These are the three model verbs which are used to show obligations. But there are differences in the kind of obligations that it can show, right? So shall shows you legal obligation. So if you're going to show something that requires legal binding, so it's more like a rule, right? A legal rule that you're required to abide by. So such situations use shall. But shall is also used for some other purposes in English. Can you tell me what would that be? Just like can, it can also be used in seeking permission, right? So I don't know if you're aware of these kind of sentences. Let us, I'll give you the example. Let us meet tomorrow for lunch. Shall we? Have you seen these kind of sentences? They're very commonly used in English conversations. Yes or no? Let us meet tomorrow for lunch. Shall we? Shall we? Let us go for a movie. Shall we? Right? These kind of sentences are called question tags. The shall we part of that sentence is called a question tag. You will see them in the next English too. So this is basically a casual form of asking permission from someone. Remember, this is not formal, this is casual, right? A very casual way of seeking permission from someone. So shall is also used for this purpose. But more primarily, shall is the word that you use in context of legal obligation. So if you read these verdicts and all that comes from the court, no, they very commonly have the use of word shall. So the petitioner shall pay an amount of so and so towards the fulfillment of this criteria, so on and so forth. So they always use the word shall to show legal obligation. Then along with that is also another word should, which again shows obligation, but this is something that is uh, that shows either personal or social obligation, right? So look at sentences like these, you should meet with him if you are visiting the city next week. Look at this example. Okay. So this is what? This is again obligation, but this is not what? This is only a personal or social obligation. This is not a must thing, right? This person is not saying you should meet with him if you're visiting the city next week, is not saying that you should necessarily or certainly meet with the person. It's just more like a suggestion, right? It's a suggestion. So another word for personal social obligation is suggestion or even advice, right? So if I say something like, you should carry your own bottles, water bottles, to avoid overspending during the trip, right? Then what is this? This is more like an advice. I'm saying you should carry your own water bottles to avoid overspending during the trip. This is an advice. Again, this is not a necessary thing. I'm not forcing you to do anything, but I'm not saying that this is a rule, this is a must, right? I'm only advising, right? In the previous case, again, I'm only suggesting that it would be nice. Another way of saying this is without using should is it would be nice if you meet with him if you're visiting the city next week, right? So no necessity is involved here, no nothing necessary, but it would be nice if you do that. So it's a suggestion, a friendly suggestion. Second sentence again is more like a personal social obligation. Both the sentences I've given using should are, they direct more towards personal social obligation, right? So in the first case, it is more like a friendly suggestion. Second one is like an advice, right? So that is the function of should. The primary function of should is to show this suggestion or advice as a part of personal social obligation. The last one is must, right? Must again is obligation, but this one is necessary obligation, right? Cases where you have to do something. You don't have a choice there. It's not like you ought to do it, but you must do it, right? So simple example, you must finish your degree in 3 years. Right. Now, what am I saying? You don't have a choice. I'm telling you, do it. It's necessary that you finish it in 3 years, right? So this is again is an obligation, but it's a more kind of a it's more of a necessary obligation. No chances, no alternatives or choices provided. So this is how you need to differentiate between the three of them: shall, should, and must. All of them deliver obligation as a modality, but there are differences between them, right? So shall showing legal obligation, should showing you personal social obligation in the form of suggestion and advice, and must giving you a necessary obligation, something that is a necessary thing. Must is also used in a different category. Must is also used to, deduce conclusions, right? When you are given a premise, when you're given a context already, you use must to deduce conclusion. I'll give you an example for that. Um, I cannot find the keys anywhere. Second, he cannot find the keys anywhere. He must have lost them. What is this? He cannot find the keys anywhere. He must have lost them. So this Must is not a necessary obligation. I'm not saying that in terms of the first meaning, wherein it's used as a necessary obligational element. Here, I'm using it to show that I have deduced this conclusion from the premise. Okay, so in the given sentence, what am I doing? My premise is that the keys cannot be found anywhere. The person couldn't find the keys anywhere. And then the deduced conclusion out of the given context is that must have lost them. Okay, so for deducing conclusion from a given context or a premise also, you can use must, right? Another function of must, or very commonly used function of must, is also this. Okay, so keep a note of all of these things. At this point, all you need to know about auxiliary verbs are these: the primary functions, and of course the honorific functions that words like may, might, could, and would can have. To make your conversations more polite, you can use either of these four, right? But besides that, know all the primary functions of all of them, right? All the 9 core auxiliaries. We're not going to discuss semi-models. They're not part of your syllabus for English 1. Okay. Any questions here before we start looking at the worksheet? I'll share it with you just in a while. But any questions that you have from this section before we start looking at the worksheet? No? Okay, if that is the case,
Ma'am, any examples for honorific usage?
yeah,
For
I think I discussed no, that if you are seeking permission, uh, can I go out and play in the evening? You can, to make it more formal, you change it to could I go out and play in the evening, right? That's one example. Similarly, you can have such situations with would. So will gets replaced with would, right? Will you do this? Will you finish this work for me? You can say, would you please finish this work for me, or would you mind finishing this work for me? So you change the can to could and will to would, and can even be changed to may if you're referring to making formal, very formal permissions, right? So can I go home? May I go home? May I go? So could I go home is like a more formal than can. And if I'm saying may I go home, then that's the most formal version. Okay. So these are examples. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So usually telephonic conversations, if you've already, I think you've already had that module, that particular lesson from the module. Telephonic conversations, they make use of a lot of these honorific or politeness element function of the model verbs. And of course, formal writing, when you write an email, write a letter and all that, even those kind of documents and those kind of formats of writing also make use of the formal aspects of the model verbs like could, may, might, and would. Okay. So if you have no other questions, then can we look at this exercise? This is from George Ewell's book on, I think it's called Advanced Oxford Practice Grammar. So this is spread from that. You can refer to this book. That book is actually a nice one if you want to practice some grammar. It's called Oxford Practice Grammar, George Ewell. Uh, it's a little advanced than what we do here. So some context might be a little off for you, but you can still try to solve some questions, on specific topics. The ones that we have in the syllabus, you can try to work on them. Do not read the explanations because there could be differences and not conflicts per se. Conceptually, there won't be any conflict, but the way they might have approached certain topics would be a little different. So do not read those things. You don't have to look at the explanations, but you can definitely look at the practice questions that the book has to work on the questions. Can we look at this? I wanted to read this entirely before you start filling in the blanks. Your blanks that you're required to use, they are already provided here. So would, or going to, shall, would, ill, was going to, won't comes twice, which means two blanks are going to take won't and then wouldn't. So that apostrophe D, you know what it means, right? It's the short form for the word would. So if I have to say you would, I can say you apostrophe D. Remember model verbs because they are used commonly in conversations. You'll find them a lot in the contractive forms. Contractive forms are these short forms, U apostrophe LL is you will. No? She apostrophe S is she's or she has. So these kind of expressions you'll find. So modal verbs also have these contractive forms for especially in their negative forms, right? When you're using the negative forms of the modal verbs, like can is can't, will is won't, should is shouldn't, would is wouldn't. May and might has a mightn't form, but then it's not very commonly used in modern English. So for both of them, we may say may not and might not. And then what are the others? Couldn't, right? Could will have couldn't as its negative form. All of them are written in this contractive forms. You never will write, could not or will not. Not wrong, but it's preferred that way because the reason is that modal verbs are more commonly used in spoken language. In spoken language, people try to cut short these into contractive forms rather than saying I am or could not or cannot and all that. You usually prefer saying can't and couldn't and would. Okay. So can you? I'll do one thing. I would like you to read through the whole of that. It's a conversation between Sarah and Dave. So read it entirely, and then you can start filling in. Thinking of what uh, goes into each of the blanks, because it will give you a context in which this conversation is happening. Just take a minute and run through it. Quickly read it, and then we can start looking at the answers. Okay. So it's 9:30 a.m. and Dave, a helpful friend, has just arrived at Sarah's flat. Sarah, hi Dave, thanks for coming so quickly. Dave, no problem. Sarah, Dash, you like a cup of tea or coffee? What would be the answer? What do you think is a possible answer here?
Would.
Ah, would you like a cup of tea or coffee? So you were asking for examples of polite use of would. No, this is again an example. Would you like a cup of tea or coffee? Right? So here would is not used in its primary meaning of hypothetical imaginary thing. This is used in its honorific form, right? Politeness form. Would you like a cup of tea or coffee? Dave, oh no, thanks. I've already had some. I dash phoned you last night when it started. But then I realized it was after 11 o'clock and you dash probably be in bed already.
Should, should we answer? Should we answer?
What is the answer?
I was going to phone you last night when it started, but then I realized it was
I was going to phone you. So I was going to phone you last night when it started, but then I realized it was after 11 o'clock and you,
would.
yeah, would, which is the apostrophe D. Okay, the first option that you have in the it, you apostrophe D. Probably be in bed already. So here would, is it used in the hypothetical format or in the politeness format? The second blank, you would probably be in bed already.
Hypothetical.
Phone, but then I realized it was after 11 o'clock and you would be probably, sorry, you would probably be in bed already.
Yeah, it's an assumption, so hypothetical.
Yeah, so this is more like a an assumption, or this is more like a proposition that persons deriving based on their prior knowledge and given the time, right? So this is more like a hypothetical usage because of the assumption that it includes, right? Maybe you would probably be in bed already, right? But what's the problem? It's the toilet. The water dash stop running, and I'm afraid we dash end up with a huge water bill.
The, the water won't stop running.
Won't stop. The water won't stop. Yes. And then second blank.
Again, won't.
The water won't stop running, and I'm afraid we no, it's not won't. It has to be something else.
We are going to end up with a huge water bill.
We are going to, yes, yeah, we are going to end up with a huge water bill. So the first blank is won't, which means the water will not, right? That is the expand. Won't is basically the a negative form of will not, right? Negative of will and expansion is will not. The water will not stop running, and I am afraid we dash end up with a huge water bill. So what is this expression here? What kind of modality is this won't expressing here? We learned a few things about will. So does it fit any of this? Is it
Threat,
intent? Is it promise? Is it warning? Threat? What is it?
threat,
Threat. Well, where is the threat? But to express threat, there is no active agent. Get it? Read it again carefully. Unwillingness, right? So I think I gave you this word, but then maybe you did not pay attention. I said intent or willingness, right? So here you cannot say intent, right? The water has no intention to stop, doesn't make sense. But uh, it can be looked at along that line. What we are trying to give is we are trying to give an agentive role to water. So I could have said that the water isn't stopping to flow, right? But instead the conversational language around that area, it says the water won't stop running, as if to transfer the thing onto the water itself. That it's also like a conversational style of people to say that, see, I did not do anything wrong, but this just happened on its own. You're passing on the onus to something that is faulty there, right? So again, the same thing is happening. We are not used to this kind of expression, because the first question would be that, but how can I, intent and willingness is something that requires a human in action, right? How can it be given to something like water or any other thing that is non-living? But that is how conversational style functions. Passive languages function like when you have to keep something passively, when you want to pass on the blame, you want to remove your agentivity from it. What you do is you try to pass it on to the next. Here, this is a situation like that, which is why will may not sound semantically, meaning wise, very right, but then this is a conversational usage in English. Okay, I want you to understand that. So the water won't stop running is basically that. It's a model verb. Will not is used here as the first form of expression, which is intent or willingness. In this case, lack of willingness, right? Non-willingness, because it's in the negative form. Understood?
yes, ma'am. What did you say for the reason of saying it's a not threat?
It's not a threat because where is it a threat? Threat is what? Threat needs to have some form of warning issued, right? Like the somebody will punish, or you at least you will get punished if you fail to do something. This is not that context, right? That meaning you cannot get here in the sentence.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. All
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
So then comes the next one, Dev. Well, let's take a look. Dash we. I just showed you this.
Shall we?
Shall we? Right? Casual permission. Shall we? Sarah. Oh, I hope it dash be a big problem.
It won't be a big
It
problem.
won't be a big problem. Okay. I hope it won't be a big problem. Okay. Now here, what is it?
Will. I will.
Yeah, that is right. I will. I hope it won't be a. It will not be a big problem, right? That's what it means. Now, my question is, what expression does it give you? What is this?
Threat.
Is it threat? Think about it. I hope it won't be a big problem. It's not a threat, right? If it has to be a threat, then it has to show or suggest some kind of unpleasant consequence or some kind of harm. But here, that's not the case. This is, see, it is not fitting any of the thing that you are giving, because in this case, although they called it modal verb, in that particular sentence, will is more like a prediction thing, which means it's used as a tense verb there, right? It's expression of future possibility or prediction. Okay. Basically, the speaker is expressing a hope about the future, right? Wishing that the given situation does not turn out to be problematic, right? So this is more like a future time reference. So here it is not exactly a modal verb. It is more used as a future time reference. I have seen this problem last time also. I was just trying to ask you if you have detected that in that sentence. So it's not exactly a modal verb in that case. Not exactly, or I could even say it is not used as a modal verb. It's a tense reference there of something that could happen in the future. It's a prediction quotient involved in that. Okay. Uh, right. Then, last one is the last blank. Oh, I dash worry if I were you. Which model verb do you use to express this? Hypothetical situation, no? Oh, I dash worry if I were you. If I were you is a standard phrase used when you have to express something that is unreal or imaginary, hypothetical. Which one will you use here?
For hypothetical, we use could.
Ah, but if you look at the situation, will you say I would worry or I wouldn't worry?
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't worry, right? Oh, I wouldn't worry if I were you, right? These old toilets sometimes just need a little help, but first I dash show you how to shut off the water supply in case this ever happens again. What is left? I will, right? I'll. So I apostrophe LL. That's the only thing here. Here, what is it? Is it promise? Is it threat? Is it intent? What is it? But first, I'll show you how to shut off the water supply. What is it? Yeah.
Fitting
No.
both intent and promise.
Sorry.
Uh, Maybe a promise or and also an intent.
Uh, Explain how this is a promise.
But first, so
Mm,
uh, but by
mm,
saying but first, she is
mm,
stressing that I will promise that I'll
mm,
show this to
mm.
you.
Okay. But usually, if it is a promise, then what flavor should it come? It's an assurance to do something, right?
Yes, yes.
Huh. So, right. Uh, yeah, in this one is more inclining towards the intent
In,
uh, aspect. But first, I will show you, or I'll show you how to shut off the water supplies. Basically, showing an intent on the other person's end to help the person with something. So it's not a promise per se, but yeah, I think I agree with you that it may have some flavors of promise as well. But more prominent is the intent part. Okay, more prominently, it is showing an intent on the speaker's part to get that problem settled. Okay, or to avoid any future issues. Okay. My advice to you is, if you can find these kind of conversations to practice, rather than the second exercise where you have standalone sentences, You can practice modal verbs better if you're doing it in this format because they are more commonly found in conversational English. So it's better if your practices are done along this line. So it could be anything. It would be an ordinary conversation like this from your daily life, based on daily life events, or it could be your telephonic conversations also. Telephonic conversations are good, but then they give you very limited exposure to the modal verbs, because there are set expressions and phrases. Every time it is, oh, how may I help you? Thank you for calling. I cannot hear you. Could you please say again? They have some set expressions, so you don't really learn how to use the language more effectively. But if you can practice using these kind of conversations, I think it will also make you familiarized with the various contexts in which these modal verbs can come up. Like, in this case, when we looked at sentence number 7, right, we realized that it's actually will is not used as much as a modal verb, but more as a tense reference. The concept becomes more clear for you when you're taking in more real conversations like this than the telephonic one, because telephonic ones, they're highly uh, honorified. Yeah, it's actually a practice more in how to use formal conversational English than anything else. So try to do it when you're practicing using these. But because you also have questions on uh, standalone sentences, I have collated a sum of sentences based on that as well. So in each of these sentences, I think the context in which you should use it is already provided. You can choose the words from the bracket, the suitable model verb from the bracket based on the hint that is given to you. Okay. So first one is, my grandmother is 85, but she dash still read and write without glasses. This is to show ability, can, could, may. What the answers? Ability. Ability is shown by what? If it is given ability, you don't have to think about anything. The
Yes.
direct answer would be can, right? My grandmother is 85, but she can still read, write without glasses, right? It's an ability. Second one, you don't have any hint provided, so you're free to choose whichever ones that fits properly the context. Dash, I can come with you. Would, will, can.
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 Right? So can when used to seek permission. Can I come with you? Right? You want to make it a little more formal, you make it could I come with you. Want to make it really formal, extremely formal, may I come with you. Okay. Third one, dash, you help me with the housework, please. Polite request, could, will, should. Polite request, this is.
And could.
Could, right? Could. Among the three, could is the one which is both accurate as well as the one which fits the hint given. Could you help me with the housework, please? There was a time when I dash stay up very late. Ability, would, could, can.
Can.
So read that again. There was a time when I dash stay up very late. Shows ability. But can you use can here? There was a time when I can stay up very late. So the presence of the past tense here, no, was, it makes it a little difficult for you to choose the word can here. So what will you have to choose instead? Could.
Could.
There was a time when I could stay up very late. So it's not because could is a past tense form of can, but the selection of can is restricted because you have already supplied the past tense, right? So in the past tense format, using can is a difficult thing because can by itself does not have tense on itself, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
you need to facilitate that. You need to account for the tense in the sentence, and for that you need to use the word could. Otherwise, for ability, it is can always. But if you have the presence of a past tense there, then your choice has to reflect that accordingly, right? There was a time when I could stay up very late, right? Uh, Fifth one, you dash not lose any more weight. You're already slim. Necessity. May, need, should. Okay, I think this one has a few semi models also, but no problem. We'll see how it can work on. You dash not lose any more weight. You are already slim. And it's a necessity.
Need.
Need, yeah. So since we do not have model, semi-models, I'll change it to must. You must not lose any more weight. You're already slim. So necessity, right? Then we dash make the first move. Prohibition. Okay. Prohibition.
Must not.
Must not. Again, prohibition is also something that is done only when it is necessary, right? You prohibit something when it is necessary. You don't do it out of a whim or fancy. Right? You must where is it? Sorry, sixth one. We must not make the first move, right? Prohibition. We must not. Necessity. Seventh one. It is snowing outside, so I dash stay at home. Intention.
I will stay at home.
I will stay at home. It is snowing outside, so I will stay at home. Intention. I dash get you a shawl from Kashmir. Promise. Will, would, can, may.
Will.
Will.
Will. I will. I will get you a shawl from Kashmir. So if it is show promise, then will is the most appropriate choice. Ninth one, dash you mind if I borrowed your car? Permission, will, would, should.
Would.
Would.
Permission.
Would.
Permission. So it doesn't say polite or anything. It just says permission. Dash you mind if I borrowed your car? You're only seeking permission. Will. You'll say will. Will you mind if I borrowed your car? It's like, can I go home type, right? You're seeking permission, but see, the context doesn't specify if it is a formal request or anything. It just says permission. So, will you mind if I borrowed your car? Look at the 10th sentence. It's of the same order, but now a polite request. Dash you take care of my dog for a day? Will, shall, would?
Would.
Would. Would you take care of my dog for a day? So this is again permission, but it's more a polite request, unlike the previous things. Now, I dash swim when I was 6. When I was 6.
I could.
I could. I could swim when I was 6. Again, ability, but then the past tense presence in the sentence uh, gives you constraints on choosing can, so you have to choose could. Okay. Is this the last one? I think she dash sell her home because she needs money. Weak possibility.
Might.
Weak possibility, or let's say weak possibility, or I think a better way to put it is weak chance or likelihood. Okay. So what is this? Might. If it was higher, then what would you write?
May.
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 May, right? So if it's weak likelihood, then might. She might sell her home because she needs money. If it is a stronger one, stronger likelihood or a higher likelihood, then we may. She may. She may sell her home because she needs money. Okay. All right. Fine. So that's all. Keep practicing on this, and most importantly, look at these conversational exercises so that your retention of what model verb looks like and works like is more. Okay. Of course, you can practice using single, standalone sentences, but it's better that you look at these conversations as well. They're more useful for you. Regards. Okay, so that's all for the topic on this topic for uh, this session. If you have any questions, you may ask. If not, we'll sign out for today. Meet you next week again to discuss on phrasal verbs. Anything? Any questions that you have?
Thank you, ma'am.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much. See you all again then next week.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. And people who are joining the classes, I would appreciate if others can also participate. Do not be just, silent spectators to this. You will learn better if you're participating. You'll retain things better. Do not feel hesitated or shy to say. Just switch on that mic because you get very few chances to interact and, come actually on the, into the session live, right? So make sure that you interact when you're here. And anyway, this is a small group, so shouldn't be a problem. Try to talk a bit more, rest of you. Okay. Okay,
Sure.
thank you so much. We'll meet again next week with the new session.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you so much. Sure,
Thank you, ma'am.
sure. Thank you, everyone.